Hello and welcome to episode 154 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And it's the end of the year, so it's an end of the year award show.
Ta-da!
An original idea that no one has ever done on any form of media ever.
No, especially not like everybody that did one last week.
Yeah, everyone who did one last week. So
I think Arena Decklist did theirs last week also, right? I know you mentioned LR did.
LR did. No, so I was going to mention this later. I'll do it now. So Arena Decklist this past week, their podcast, the first 20 minutes, if you're into Magic, particularly Magic Online, they talk about what they know about the switch from Wizards running Magic Online to Daybreak.
Okay.
And that's about...
Let's save that for the end of the show. We'll I'll put that in there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. But I can direct you to that. The other 40 minutes is them talking about adopting cats. But
okay.
The first 20 minutes is probably what you want. But yeah, so a lot of people have done it. We recruited help from you guys. So
yeah, thanks for everyone that chipped in.
Yeah, so if you want to get at us about things you want us to talk about in the future, or things that we missed, which is your fault for not tweeting us the first time, you can get at us at CasualTryPod.
Yeah, or if you, kind of like we said, you guys gave us nominees, we're going to pick what we think wins. So if you don't like our decisions, you can get at us on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG, or you can email us, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. I know everyone's got Christmas money in their pockets now, so if you're looking to spend that on Magic singles, we would appreciate it if you used our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Follow that link, sign into TCG Player. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you navigate to the site using our link, we'll get credit for whatever you spend there, and we'll get a small percentage to help keep the show going. If you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Patrons get access to our pre-show, which is a hit from what I hear. A lot of the patrons really enjoy it. Kind of bonus content, a little bit of a sneak peek sometimes about what we're going to be talking about, a little bit of long-term plan stuff for the show once in a while, kind of a sneak peek into our own lives a lot of times. There's some real gems in there. And like I said, the patrons that give back to me seem to really enjoy it. So if you want access to that, if you want access to our show notes, so you know what we're going to be talking about that week, and if you want to get on my mailing list when I do my give backs, head over to patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. There's a bunch of tiers there. The tiers really don't mean a whole lot. Pitch in what you can, and we'd really appreciate it, even if it's just a couple bucks. Help keep the show going, and like I said, we appreciate it.
The patron gift really got loyal listener Anthony hyped up. He was tweeting out pictures of his patron gifts.
I saw that.
They're pretty fancy. So please get your patron gifts by becoming a patron.
That's right. We appreciate it, and all of our patrons. You guys are awesome. One last thing, we have our Discord. There's a link in the description to join. There's a link on all our social media. Hop on over there. It's probably the quickest way to get a response from one of us. There's also a bunch of really cool people that hang out in there. So if you need help with a deck, or going along with last week's Cube episode, we've had a bunch of cubes posted up in there. So if you want to take a peek at some cubes, or maybe share your own, get some input, hop on there. Like I said, link in the description, link on all our social media. Come join the conversation.
Yeah. So, year-end show, and we wanted to do kind of a loose award show.
Mm-hmm. You know? Very loose. Loose is the optimal word here.
Yeah. So, talk about the year in Magic, our year in Magic, and, the various awards and nominees that we have for different categories that some of you helped come up with and that we put to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're starting with the big one first.
Yeah, why not?
which is what was the best episode of the year?
Episode of our show.
Yeah, of our show, the only show that matters.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have the Midnight Hunt Marathon. I'm assuming that is the set review, and I think that one was like 3 hours or something crazy.
Yeah, it was the Midnight Hunt Marathon episode where, I think it was just over 3 hours. We didn't finish until after midnight.
Yeah.
It was a
rough.
long episode.
Yes.
My voice was toast by the end of it.
And then we have What's in Your Bag, where we talked about all the stuff that you should have, like, with you when you go play in person.
Yeah, that was part of our Learn to Play series.
Yep.
Yep.
And then Econ 101, the basics of Magic speculation and trying to make money off of Magic cards.
Mm-hmm. We also have Why We Do This, which was an episode kind of talking about our relationship with the game and how it's changed, and has kind of been a recurring theme for the last 6 months or so. We touch on it every now and again, but I wanted to do an episode to try and put a nail in it, and so I wouldn't have to keep talking about it, and it didn't work. It was a good episode, though.
Yeah. So what's our next one here?
Turn in your homework. I don't remember what this one was about.
It was, you would ask people to do something the previous week. And it was episode 147. We have all of our show notes.
Yeah, I probably should have gone back and found out what it was.
Let's find 147 here. From November. Like, not even that long ago.
Yeah, my brain's shot, so.
Let's see here. Was this, it doesn't say, this looks like the Val episode. This can't be 147.
Man.
Oh, you know what it is? I think the number's on,
they're off one.
They're off one, so is it 146? This is again what the people wanted here.
Yeah.
Was us trying to figure out exactly what it was the mailbag questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was mailbag stuff. It was like, again, some what we want to spend our money is on. Is what I was 146. So,
all right.
Yeah. So this one was email questions. So, all right. So my vote for favorite show or best show is Why We Do This, because I don't know. I just thought it was an important topic because I think a lot of people are in the same boat that we are, where their relationship with the game is changing. And to just be like, hey, even if you're kind of like, isolated, because these last 18 months have been pretty isolating. Right. Like, there are other people going through the same thing you are.
Yeah, I also really like the Way We Do This episode. Up until a couple weeks ago, that was probably my favorite episode. I also really liked the alchemy episode we did. Yeah. And I think, in my mind, like, those are my favorite 2 episodes.
And we looked really smart on the alchemy episode because basically every other content creator made some sort of video or thing that was basically everything we had talked about.
Yeah.
About alchemy.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Our stuff has like a a lead time to it, where everyone else just kind of throws stuff out as soon as they record it. Because we would look a lot smarter if.
I can start turning these around faster.
Oh no! It's fine.
It's way easier now.
Yeah, I really like both of those episodes, though. Why We Do This was important to me, and also the alchemy episode. I thought we conveyed a lot of information well.
Yeah. All right. So, what is our best tangent?
Best tangent. So, like, random things we talk about that may or may not be related to the episode.
So, near and dear to my heart, bro, gotta get them beans. Bro, it's Chad. I also invented a new character on Discord, Chad's old frat buddy, Brock.
Chad and Brock.
Chad and Brock. But I am a fan of Chad. Just Chad the bean counter hasn't played Magic really. Just wants to extract as much money out of people on Arena as humanly possible.
Oh, did this make it to the actual episode, or was this a pre-show or like just me and you talking thing? My idea for Chad. Do you remember this?
I don't remember. No, what's Chad's idea?
Well, I thought that we should have a mascot.
Oh, we could just make Chad our mascot?
I think we need to make Chad our mascot, but I need a visual representation of Chad.
Oh, okay.
So if we have any artist listeners out there that want to give us a visual representation of Chad.
Yeah, like if I can figure out how to update our why it reverted, why our iTunes logo reverted, I cannot figure out. But if we ever figure out how to update that, we could just like have Chad saying, "Bro, beans."
I don't know that it has to replace our logo, but we can have a logo and a mascot, I think.
We could. Chad the bean counter, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
So if somebody wants to get on that, somebody that's more artistically talented than I am.
Yeah, because if I did it, Chad would be a stick figure that just said a speech bubble that said, "Bro, beans."
Yeah, it would be awful.
We have a rant on this product not being for you.
Yeah, that one seems to come up pretty frequently, so that's probably a pretty good tangent.
One that we circle back to a lot is, this isn't for us.
Yeah. And then Brian's Windows.
Yeah, Windows are still the original Windows in the house. I have not separated myself from between $15,000 and $40,000. But yeah. So
there was actually a couple people that suggested that one too. So that's
the trials and tribulations of home ownership.
People can relate. You're relatable, Brian.
I called Anthony because like trying to get Anthony to buy a house soon, and I was like, dude, you know what they don't tell you, that someone's gonna come to your house and with a straight face tell you, it's gonna be $70,000 to replace your windows, and you do the math and go, how can a quarter of my home's value be looking outside? I am very confused. It's like how come getting a roof was significantly less? I feel as though a quarter of my house's value is keeping me dry. And that's not how much a roof was. Not a quarter of my house's value. So come on.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Chad. Chad will be making comebacks throughout the rest of the podcast time. I gotta really nail down who Chad is as a person.
100%. I am also a big fan of Chad.
What motivates him? I think it's just beans.
Absolutely.
I do like that in Discord. I had a conversation between him and Morrow where Chad was like, "Little bro, chill. No one cares about Space Circuses that much, bro, unless it gets me beans." Right? Like Morrow just all like, "Woo!"
Yeah.
And then Chat's just like, "Bro, only beans, bro. Space Family Goblinson, bro, don't get the joke. Do they get me beans, bro?" And Brock in the corner just doing snorting lines of pre-workout.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. That is who runs Wizards. Two frat bros who got like C pluses in business and Morrow.
With Morrow.
That's it. That is it.
Yeah.
All right, so card of the year.
Yeah, we got a bunch of nominees for this one.
So, this
first
one's
up
weird.
I mean, it's hard to define.
It is hard to define because, like, what I think card of the year is not on our list of nominees. But we'll go through our nominees here.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you were paying a whole lot of attention to Discord or if you were just posting on Twitter, but I made some caveats on Discord where card of the year didn't have to be the best card of the year.
Yeah.
Like it could have just been an important card or a card you thought was really well designed, or something that was super flavorful. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty wide open category. So we have the first nominee is Tovalar, which I agree is a pretty cool design. I don't know if it's card of the year good, but it's a pretty cool design.
So what is it? It's a 1 green red for a 3/3?
Yeah, I think so.
That whenever a werewolf deals damage to something, to a player, you draw a card.
You get to draw a card, yep.
And it has day-night, and it always flips to night on your turn, so it transforms all your werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty cool design.
It is.
Definitely the best like werewolf lord or whatever you want to call it.
I think
commander, I guess.
Yeah, people have said it's basically the best werewolf commander. It like single-handedly like makes werewolves in commander work.
Yeah.
Like now, because we just can't have nice things, him transforming all like human werewolves into werewolves doesn't work on the old werewolves.
Right.
Because can't we have nice things?
That would make too much sense.
It makes too much sense. Next up is Blade Historian. So this is the rare from Strixhaven that was red white hybrid. So 4 mana, all colored. And it was is it a 3/4 that gave everything double strike?
I think it's a 2/3.
Is it a 2/3? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
and it gives attacking creatures double strike.
I like this. And it's not a trigger.
Right.
So
it just happens.
Yeah, so what was nice was like I have some because if you put this in off Winota, right, it just says attacking creatures have double strike. So even after everything's been declared, you can put it in, and all your creatures have double strike.
Right.
So, like it's a neat card. It does a unique thing, and does some combo-y things like putting in this and like what was in Angrass Rampage or Angrass Marauders.
Yeah.
Like just deals 7,000 to someone.
Yep.
Good times.
Yep. I mean, we also have. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we have the best name of the year next.
We do, and this is a really cool design, and I like what they did here. It's a Champion of the Parish. So, Champion of the Parish, Parish, was a card from was it Innistrad or Dark Ascension or
that block?
Yeah, that block. That was a 1-mana 1/1 that got a counter every time a human entered the battlefield. And this is Champion of the Perished, Perished. That's a 1-mana 1/1 zombie that gets a counter every time a zombie enters the battlefield. Super cool that they mirrored it like that.
Yeah,
and like the artwork is similar. Like the artwork looks like a zombified Champion of the Parish.
Yeah,
which is cool.
And the card is sneakily super powerful. Yeah,
yeah. No, I'm a big fan of that one. I don't know if it's probably up there for card of the year. I can get on board with that nominee.
In terms of just like flavor, callback to a previous set, like just everything. I think it has a lot going for it.
Yeah.
We have Realm Walker.
Yeah, this is a weird one. It's a cool card, but weird.
It's a 2/3. It's a 2 and a green for a 2/3 shapeshifter. Changeling.
Right.
Comes into play, you name a creature type, and you can play creatures of that type off the top of your deck.
Super useful for obviously tribal decks. Really pushes elves. Because I mean that's the green tribe and it's green, so that helps. But
and like
it's whatever tribe you and it's whatever tribe you name also. So
yeah, so like it kind of can go like if you're playing slivers in Commander,
right?
It's a sliver.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, it just gives you that flexibility.
Yep. Cool card. Neat design.
Yeah. Another card that is a neat design is up next and is Grist, the Hunger Tide.
Yeah, a weird one.
So it's 1 green black for Planeswalker Grist, It has a static ability that as long as it's not on the battlefield, anywhere else, it is a 1/1 green and black insect creature.
Yeah.
So this means you can reanimate it.
You can.
If someone casts a duress against you, you can't take it because it's a creature in your hand.
Right.
You can collected company into Grist because it's a creature in your deck.
You can green suns for it.
Yes. So, and then +1 is it mills 2 and you make an insect, and if the 2 cards share a creature type, you repeat the process.
If one of them's an insect, you repeat the
Oh,
process.
if one of them's an insect, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's -3.
You blow something up.
Yeah, sack a creature, blow something up, and I don't know. The 5 is the ultimate is like -5. You dome an opponent equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah, so like, it's neat in terms of the fact that it's a creature in weird places.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of spawned or supports the goofiest legacy deck.
Yes.
What is it? Dwarf insects.
Yeah.
I saw Saffron Olive tried to play the deck, a Yorion version of the deck in Modern.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's not as good if you don't have Dwarven Recruiter. But,
right.
And Yorion just makes it worse, but whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, it supports, like, a weird archetype.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a generally, like, good, interesting card.
It is.
Right.
Can I throw a tangent in here real quick?
Sure.
We talked, I forget which episode it was. It wasn't that long ago, but we talked about, like, collection building and speccing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned that a good thing to spec on are cards that do unique things and may or may not be hard to reprint. Our boy Grist here does a very unique thing and is probably kind of hard to reprint and is also $4.
I was going to say he's $5 on TCG right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like,
if you don't have Grists, like, that is a good card to spec on because he won't be $5 for long.
I have I have like a play set, but I can get behind getting some more.
Yeah.
And if you're getting them, so it's weird, right? If you're getting them to, like, hold on to as a spec, the borderless Grists are $10.
Yeah.
And that's probably a better place to go.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I think at $5, like, even the regular Grists are probably a pretty good place to be.
I mean, if you look at just think about, like, what the price of Modern Horizons 1 cards are now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what's his name? Ren is like $110. Ren and 6.
Mm-hmm.
It's $110.
Right.
Oh gosh, Seasoned Pyromancer, which is easier to reprint than Grist, I think.
Oh yeah, way easier.
Is like $70.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a card that you could get into relatively cheaply, and could see a lot of growth.
Yeah, I know that, like, Modern Horizons 2 was pretty widely opened, and it also had the full suite of booster products, which is helping to keep the price down. But like you mentioned, you know, Grist fits into some weird places and has some combo potentials and stuff. But it's also just seeing play in, like, you know, good stuff decks, just as, you know, a removal spell.
Yeah. And again, like, the fact that you can Court of Calling for it, or, you know, Green Sun for it. Yep. Right? Like, oh, I'm going to Green Sun for a removal spell or pseudo removal spell that leaves behind a Planeswalker. Right? That is not something you've been able to do before.
Right.
So, all in all, it is a weird card that does some interesting things. All right, so what are your cards that came to mind for Card of the Year?
Yeah, I didn't even realize this until we were doing the pre-show, but all of the cards that well, all of the cards we've talked about so far have been either rare or mythic.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the cards that I came up with for card of the year are uncommons. So that's kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
First up is Dragon Rage Channeler. I
Yes.
think, like, even as omnipresent as it is, and may or may not be good for multiple formats, I think the card is super sweet. And while it may incentivize play patterns that, aren't great, I think it also kind of incentivizes some play patterns that are pretty great that like aren't currently seeing play. But I think that card's awesome. It's a good design. It's efficient. It's powerful. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say than that for Dragon Rage Channeler. I also really liked Witherbloom Apprentice. Green black for, was it a 2/2 with Magecraft, and whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, you drain one. That's not something that's ever been present in those colors before, like that effect. And I think that like there is some combo potential there. Like I think there is a legacy like combo deck that uses Witherbloom Apprentice as a win con.
With
but it's also
Chain of Smog.
Chain of Smog, yeah. It's also just like a cool card for like a mid-range deck. A lot of the, green black X mid-range decks only run like 12, 16 creatures, sometimes like up to 20, but that's not, a large portion of the deck, and they're all just, discard and removal spells. Well, if, you're playing a game and all of your discard and removal spells also drain one, it's adds up to be a pretty decent life swing for a 2-mana investment. So yeah. I really liked that card. I played with it a lot on Arena, just jamming it whenever I was making like a weird deck for, one of the challenges, one of the midweek magics or whatever. That's usually where I started brewing around, just because I enjoyed playing with the card. Yeah. And it also combos really well with the next card that I would like to nominate for card of the year, and that's Plum the Forbidden. 1 in a black, sacrifice any number of creatures, copy the spell for each creature sacrificed, and the spell, you lose a life and draw a card.
Yep, goes really well with Witherbloom Apprentice.
Yep. Anything with sacrifice synergies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it made it into the cube we talked about last week.
Yep.
For just like, oh, hey, I draw this card, I can sack my board and draw a bunch of cards and refill.
Yep.
Right, like we've not seen a card like that before.
Yeah.
So my nominee for card of the year is the monkey.
Ragavan?
Just not because it is a well-designed card, not because it is a particularly fun card, but
most influential for sure.
Yeah, no other card really has had as big an impact across Magic as Ragavan. Ragavan is this year's Loris.
Yeah, I was just going to say the only other card that I think has made more waves than Ragavan, at least in the time I've been playing Magic, was Loris.
Yeah, but it's basically reshaped how Magic games are being played. Long time ago, when we were when we were playing in the world of Oko, we talked about the concept that Brian Braun-Duin had brought up of the fundamental churn, where like when do you have to interact to like be effective in a game of Magic, and for that Oko standard, the fundamental turn was turn 1. Right? You either had to be able to answer the goose.
Yep.
So they couldn't Oko you, or you had to have some way to interact with the Oko they were going to play if you couldn't interact with the goose. Right? Ragavan has basically made the fundamental turn for all of Magic that's not played on Arena, basically.
Yeah.
1.
Right.
Right? Like, Modern, Legacy, the fundamental turn is turn 1. You either have to kill the monkey or lose to the monkey. Right? Like, you can't, like, go tap land go unless you're playing, like, Amulet Titan and you're going to just combo your monkey opponent off the planet on turn 2.
Right.
You're like, whatever. Tap land, go, amulet, bounce land, play another amulet, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, whatever you're going to do.
Right. Like, that's the only time that you're just like, oh, okay. Like, I'm fine not dealing with the monkey. And, like, I think the monkey has, like, exposed faults in other, like, in the formats, right? Like think about Legacy. Like, Delver and Dragon Rage Chandler contributed as well, right? Like, Delver was always the best deck, but, like, there's, like, a core, and, like, Delver was just the best 1-mana threat.
Yeah, it was just the most efficient thing in its class.
And now there's just way more things. And Ragavan is also emblematic of something that Saffron Olive has talked about, and we've brought up. The fact that, like, I think that Wizards is having a hard time designing cards. And so what they're doing now is they're falling back on these things that snowball and feed themselves. Right? Because if you play a Ragavan, even if, like, you don't get to cast the card off the top, you made an extra mana to play something out of your hand.
Right.
So in red, you now have ramp. Like, oh, hey, it's turn 2, I have 3 mana.
That also applies pressure.
And could just let you draw cards off your opponent's deck. But it's just, like, emblematic of, like, the Goldspan Dragon. Like, oh, I left this out on the battlefield for a little bit. Oh, they have, like, way more mana than they should now.
Yeah. Now you're buried.
Yeah. So, like, Ragavan, and I think there's also an argument for Expressive Iteration. Again, just another card
that's a good one.
That has just, like, an outsized impact on all of, like, Modern and Legacy. Where, like, we read the card and we all processed it was 2 mana, draw 2 cards if one of them is a land.
Yeah.
But I don't think we realized, like, how warping that was.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, we've had Night's Whisper forever. Right? But people weren't playing, like, Grixis Delver to get Night's Whisper into their deck.
Right.
Like, now it's like, I don't have to do anything extra. I just get to play 4 Volcanic Islands or 4 Steam Vents and jam my 2 mana draw 2.
Yeah.
So I think those are the cards that are just, like, that have had the biggest impact, to the point where, like, I was like, well, Modern Horizons 2 didn't come out this year because I feel like all I ever hear about is the monkey. And I feel like I've been hearing about the monkey for a year. No, it came out in June. Yeah. And it's like, oh. So, like, I am fine with, like, picking some cards that aren't, like, just, like, soul crushing and format warping. Like, like, Champion of the Parish is, like, the neatest in terms of, like, all it brings flavor wise and stuff. Like, that is the kind of 1 mana rare that you want.
Yes. Right? 100%.
It gets big, so it applies pressure, right? But you can just remove it, right? And you're not down cards, or you're not down tempo.
Yeah, like, it's just keyword big.
Yeah, and you're just like, you know what? Like, it definitely can win a game. Like, I've definitely played games where I go, like, champion into, like, lots of Tep Breaker and attack for 3. Yeah, or double Crypt Breaker. And you're just like, okay, like, you have to answer this in the next turn or two, or it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Right? But like with Ragavan, it's like, oh, like now I'm up on tempo, now I'm up on cards, and even if you do answer this, you're never gonna get that tempo and those cards back.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just behind. So like I could be down with Champion of the Parish as like a card that you can just be like, hey, this is what I want my rares to be. Like it's cute in terms of like flavor and everything. Like, but I don't know. I think like in 2 years, we're gonna be talking about Ragavan Summer or Ragavan Winter.
Well, see, I would normally agree with you, except that like Ragavan really doesn't do anything in Commander.
Fair.
And that's all that people care about anymore.
I guess. Fair.
So,
I mean, in competitive circles, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Right? Like, you're going to be like, oh man, what was 2021 like? You'll be like, well, COVID weirdness still. And it was just all monkey all the time from June till fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right? And it'll be like, oh, that sounds miserable. So it was. It was basically like 2 formats were unplayable.
Well, do we need to put Urza Saga in here also then? Like if we're judging card of the year based on the impact it had this summer.
Fair? Like no, I mean
Urza Saga is probably in the same conversation.
Yeah, Urza Saga, you're right. Urza Saga has had that same kind of like outsized, like it's in like every deck.
Yeah.
Right? It has like made oh gosh, what is it called? Hammer Time, like one of the best decks in all of Modern.
Yep.
It's made Primeval Titan decks better.
It has.
Because it's just like, oh, hey, here's some extra copies of Amulet.
Mm-hmm.
And here are extra copies of Amulet that just also happen to be 2/2s. 2 2/2s at minimum. And you get your Amulet, now they're 3/3s. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so, I don't know. I think in terms of, like, what I want cards to be, Champion of the Parish. Like, you're not going to ever look at that card and go, like, oh, my God.
I really dig Grist, too. Like, Grist was a good nomination.
Yeah, like...
kind of for the same reasons. Like, it's unique. It does something weird. It promotes, like...
Magic games?
Yeah, a decent game of Magic that's not about, like, just doing something broken to your opponent and then, like, hoping they don't hate you afterwards.
I mean, if you play a Grist, the game doesn't end. Like, it is a planeswalker that is, like, at the appropriate power level. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you took the static off of Grist and put it in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, you wouldn't blink an eye.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, this might see play in Standard.
Yep.
Right? Now, the static and other stuff, like, gives it more flexibility. But, yeah, like, I can see Grist as well. Like, these are the cards that we want you to design, Wizards.
Yes. We don't need any more Urza Sagas or Ragavans.
Yes. I will give Chad my beans for Champion of the Parish in Grist. I will hold on to my beans if it's only Urza Sagas and Ragavans.
Well, I mean, I bought both Champions of the Parish and Grist, and I did not buy Ragavans.
Well, you could buy, like, I don't know, 20 Champion of the Parish for one Ragavan.
True.
Yeah. Champion of the Parish is on my, like, next order. I was like, oh, I'm missing that. So, yeah. So, again, I think we can go with the cards we want Wizards to make. So, Champion of the Parish and Grist, I don't know. You guys can hold the trophy.
Well, we gotta pick a winner. So, I think the top contenders for the category are Champion of the Parish, Grist, I would argue Dragon Rage Channeler, Urza Saga, or Ragavan. Do you want to go middle of the road and call it Dragon Rage Channeler. That's kind of a...
I hate Dragon Rage Chandler so much.
Really? I don't think that card's like too absurd. Like, it's not Ragavan level busted. It's not Urza Saga level busted. It's efficient. It's unique.
I think the problem with it is it smooths out your draws too much. Right? It makes you build a certain kind of deck, right? You've got to have a bunch of spells. But the fact that right, like, if you could have a Dragon Rage Chandler and like 2 lands and like 3 lands in your hand, right? Or 2 lands in your hand. Mm-hmm. You just don't have to draw another land.
Right.
Right? Because you're just like, oh, I'll just surveil this to the bottom. Right? Like, yeah. I don't know. It gives you so much velocity in older formats. But no, I think Dragon Rage Chandler kind of replaced Delver in Delver. Right? We call it Delver. And it's like, that's a pretty huge, like, that's a very powerful card. Also, the fact that it's in Historic makes me angry. But if you want to go Dragon Rage Chandler, that is fine. That is fine.
All right. So for sake of the category, let's call it Grist.
There we go. That's a card that we both own and have thought about playing in a Lauren.
Yes.
Right? And
we'll call it Grist.
And
that's another thing you can do with Grist is put it into play off of Lauren.
Yes. And we also have the card so we can like insect cannon someone with a Dwarven Recruiter.
This is also true.
Grist just is so much better than all these other cards. Grist it is.
All right. We're going to call it Grist.
All right, so
that one took a while.
It's in. Product of the year. One could say this product is for you. All right. So this with this category. This product is for you, the category. So Midnight Hunt.
Yeah, that's solid. I really liked Midnight Hunt.
I like Midnight Hunt. I think where it falls down is it's the werewolf set. What was the
zombies were the best thing to do?
Yeah. What was the absolute worst draft archetype?
Yeah. Werewolves.
Right? Like, I understand for story reasons you couldn't put Tovalar in that set. Yeah. But, like, it needed a Tovalar and it didn't need a Silverbolt.
Right.
Then we have MH2.
Yeah.
I think this is how this is a question of how you're defining product of the year, right? Like,
I agree.
Is it the product that had the biggest impact on Magic?
Modern Horizons 2.
Is it the product that we enjoyed the most? Not Modern Horizons 2.
Right.
Next up was Strixhaven, particularly the Mystical Archives.
Yeah, I thought Mystical Archives were really cool, except for what they did to Historic.
Yeah, / like, again, circle back to the arena economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not even just the arena economy. Like, even arena economy issues aside, and I guess this might be just more what I was hoping for out of arena, but I wanted Historic to be Pioneer. I didn't want Historic to be a bunch of random things that somebody, thought would be cool, with the exception of Lightning Bolt and Demonic Tutor and Natural Order.
And Swords to Plowshare. Yeah, like, so I mentioned, right, I'm playing effectively a Pioneer deck that's missing cards, and the cards I have to play in its place are broken.
Right.
And there's part of me that just goes like, oh, like when my opponent goes like, tap land into like untapped red-white land, I'm just like, oh. So I'm going to get Lightning Helix, and this is not something that would happen in Pioneer. This game kind of doesn't help. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the art styles were cool, like grabbing
most of them.
Grabbing cards for the cubes. For the cube, I took the versions that were Mystical Archives when I could for things, because I like the art.
Yeah, the frame's cool. Most of the art's really cool.
Yeah. Then Alchemy,
Yeah, I did not put this here.
I did not put this here either. Like, I appreciate that it's like, hey, I don't like standard. I need them to do something because standard sucks.
Yeah.
And so the only way, like, I don't want to play historic because historic is weird for what we just talked about. I don't want to play standard because it's 3 decks.
Right.
And so they're like, hey, we'll give you alchemy. But it's like, you could also play test some of your cards.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Can we play test some cards?
I don't think alchemy is my pick for product of the year.
No.
I really thought Time Spiral Remastered was cool.
Yeah.
It was weird because like nobody really got a chance to play it. Like it wasn't on Arena or anything. You only got a chance to draft it if you went to your LGS. But it was oddly nostalgic, oddly because like I didn't play during Time Spiral, but having been in the game for so long, I was very familiar with all of the cards. It was the introduction of the old borders, which I really enjoyed. There was a ton of value in it. Like it was fun to crack packs of.
Mm-hmm.
I just really enjoyed that product. I thought it was a home run.
I don't think there's any like product that I'm like, yeah, this was awesome. And I don't know if it's just because of how I'm interacting with Magic and like doing some drafts and then like playing a little bit of Constructed on Arena.
Right.
But so there's nothing like none of the formats that have been on Arena. So Keldheim, Strixhaven, AFR, Midnight Hunt, Val. Have I been like, oh yeah, like in 2 years if you ask me, you know, hey, what do I draft in Midnight Hunt? I don't know if I'm going to remember.
Right.
Right.
So let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
What did you give Chad beans for this year?
What
was a good enough product for Chad to get beans from you?
I have TCG player, their Chad. TCG.
Oh, I didn't ask about TCG player. I asked about actual Chad. Because like singles don't count. Like you're not going to count a single as like a product of the year, right?
No. I bought a couple Secret Layers.
Yeah.
I want to say Christopher Rush, but that's not right.
Mark Poole.
Yep. Secret Lair.
Yep.
And I think that is the only thing I've given Wizards money for.
That is correct. That's where I was going with this.
And basically that was buying singles. I went
through kind of, sort of, but I think you can count the Secret Lair as a product, though, whereas ordering singles off TCG, I don't think you can count as a product. When I went through for product of the year, I had absolutely no idea what even came out this year. So, like, when I was trying to come up with things for these categories, the first thing I did was go through and list all of the things that came out this year, and like 43 of them or something were Secret Lairs. And that got me thinking that the only thing that you had bought this year was a Secret Lair, which is so weird.
Yeah,
Secret Lair is the sole thing that got your money.
Yeah, that's it. I bought one Secret Lair, and then I have pre-ordered my Secret Lairs for the Commander deck one.
Yeah.
And whatever the foil
Dracula ones.
Yeah, the foil Phyrexian Tower or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's it. But I've not bought a pack of Magic cards.
Yeah.
All year.
So does that make Secret Lair best product by default? I think I've spent more on Secret Lairs than I have like sealed product this year.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think the product has to be like a thing that you gave Wizards for money for directly, right?
Okay.
Like, because I think like, you know, I didn't draft Time Spiral Masters, but I was like excited about that like preview season.
Yeah.
Like I could see that as being like, you know, something you could see as like product of the year. I can't give it to Modern Horizons 2. I can't.
No, I do not wish to give it to Modern Horizons 2.
Can't do Alchemy.
Nope.
Strixhaven,
like
the draft environment was It did give us some interesting cards like Siege Witch or Sedgemoor Witch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. With a Bloom Apprentice, Plum the Forbidden.
Yeah. And yes, the Mystical Archives were neat. I mean, there's an argument for Strixhaven, but I don't know, like Time Spiral, like the thing is like we got on the old border train and just could not get off. They just old bordered everything.
Well, I think they're letting up now though. Like we got Old Border in Time Spiral Remastered. We got Old Border in Modern Horizons 2. We got Old Border with a couple secret layers. And is that it?
I think. So they may have let their foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think you could do Time Spiral Remastered. Like,
yeah.
You know, the world being what it was, I didn't draft it. But that was one that I was like, oh, like I wanted to interact with. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't just going to like buy boxes.
Lucky for you, if we ever get a time and a place where there's some free time and we have some friends to draft, I have 2 boxes sitting on my shelf for a rainy day. Ooh.
All right. Next up, most broken card of the year.
Yep.
I understand there are nominees. I think there's only one winner that we can all agree on.
Yep.
So the first
is
Ragavan. We'll go through the other ones. It's Ragavan. Hullbreaker Horror. The fact that like it kind of pushed oh god, what is it called? Elrond's Epiphany out as like the blue finisher is kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, but I mean, it feeds on that exact kind of thing. It's like, so what does this card excel at? It wants me to get to 8 mana, flash it in response to your stupid sorcery, and then cast an opt and annihilate you. It's like, okay.
Yep, and then make it so that you don't play Magic the rest of the game.
Yes, I'm just going to play a bunch of ups, and I'm going to bounce a bunch of your stuff. It's going to be a blast.
Yep. I don't know that it's necessarily the most broken. I agree that it's not a very healthy design.
It is not. Like, I think this is something we've talked about before, where on one hand, for years and years and years and years and years, the design team could be like, wow, this card does a lot of stuff. I'm going to make it cost 7 mana.
Yeah.
And 7 mana is like infinitely more than 6.
Right.
And so we got to pay people off for dumping their 7 mana in. But at the same time, like, they just keep making the blue-green draft archetype rampy big stuff, which puts enough random ramp into the format. And they also introduced treasures into blue-red. So now you have these other ways to ramp. So, like, Hullbreaker Horror is like a 5-drop. And
basically,
that text on a 5-drop doesn't work.
No, unreal.
Right?
Unreal the power that it has.
Right, because, like, you know, your opponent, I don't know, they play a Prismari command, they 2 one of your things, and they make a treasure. And then they get another treasure some other way. And now you're staring down, like, this thing.
Right.
And they're just like, and you tap out, you play your gold, you pay a Goldspan Dragon, and you're like, they flash in their 7/7, and they're like, okay, let's go. And it's like,
it's a race. I'm going to win. Race.
Hit you for 7, bounce this Goldspan Dragon, and then bounce it again when you go to cast it. It's been fun.
Yep.
And then they're just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm done. Thank you. We have Omnath from last year. So scarring as a design and a Magic card. People still a year later have not recovered. So we did this last year. Retroactively, 2020 most broken card is Omnath. Someone right now, I mentioned Omnath and they crawled under their desk. They're like, no, don't do it
They
again.
retreated into their turtle shell, pulled their shirt up over their head,
Exactly.
like
No
pulled
more.
their arms in,
No
tucked
more.
their knees into their sweatshirt.
Yeah, just rocking in a chair. No. So Omnath did some work. As we
I
mentioned,
guess like if Omnath and Hullbreaker are on here, Elrond's Epiphany should be in the conversation.
I mean, Elrond's Epiphany, and I don't think you can separate Elrond's Epiphany from Goldspan Dragon. Right?
Yeah.
Just the fact that Goldspan Dragon
True.
let you get to again, like at 7 mana, card is fine. At 6 mana, not great. But at like 4 mana, 5 mana, because you got like 2 treasures from your Goldspan Dragon,
Yeah.
card is not okay at all.
Not cool, dude.
So we have the winner, Ragavan.
Ragavan.
We've talked about him to the point. Anzid MTG wrote like a 3-page manifesto open letter to Wizards, breaking down every line of Ragavan and why it's wrong, and like why it needs to be banned. Like to the point, like Ragavan has made it so they've not fired a legacy challenge in like 4 months.
Oh man.
Like legacy challenges have not fired for months. They were like, they have graphs of like the average number of players in legacy leagues and how they're going down.
Yeah.
Like just wild the impact this card has had.
I wonder if that's why Thraben Yu's been doing Pauper content.
Yes. He had talked about like doing some of his modern videos. Like, I'm doing modern stuff because I don't want to play Legacy anymore until they change it, until Ragavan goes away. Wow. And so like someone who like has made their name on playing Legacy is like, I can't. I'll play Boros, Bully, and Pauper as opposed to play against Monkey. Because I'll go into a Pauper league and I'll play against, I don't know, 100 different cards across my 5 matches.
Yeah.
As opposed to I will play against 20 different cards across my 4 matches, 5 matches of Legacy. Yeah. Then we have Urza's Saga, the card that I thought was going to be banned first for Modern, and I don't know if it will be. But
I don't know that. I mean, it's definitely powerful, and it promotes not the healthiest gameplay. So I wouldn't like disagree with a ban, but in the face of Ragavan, like it seems pretty fine.
Yeah. And then for our Pauper fans, we have Chatterstorm.
Mm-hmm.
That when the card was printed, I do believe I said the best deck in Pauper is Storm now until they banned Chatterstorm.
Yep. And it was.
Yeah, I was like, do not buy Chatterstorms. They will get like, don't buy this deck because it will get banned. And it wasn't a cheap deck, and it got banned.
Right.
Like
a lot of the weird Storm cards were like old stuff.
And just like Lotus Petals are like $10 a pop, right? There's another card that's not on here that is like innocuous, but is also a problem from the year. It's another Modern Horizons 2 card.
Oh, what's that? Prismatic
Ending.
Yeah, you think that's not okay?
So here's the thing. PK has talked about it a lot, and he's basically like, this card should be banned, but we never ban cards like this. And it's just such a flexible card. It covers everything to the point that people are cutting swords to plowshares to play it. Right? Like, oh, your opponent played a Vial. Cool, I'll Prismatic Ending it. Oh, they played a creature. Cool, I'll prismatic ending it. Oh, you played an
Yeah,
enchantment.
but like
I'll prismatic ending
flexible
it.
answers, flexible answers are something that are normally healthy for a format.
I mean, I agree, but I think that it's I don't know how to. It's so efficient and so flexible, right? I mean, it's not like Council's Judgment,
Yeah.
right? Like if you play Council's Judgment, for those who don't know, 1 white for a sorcery that is you vote and you exile the card that lost the vote.
Right.
Right. So each player votes. If there's a tie, you exile both cards. So you vote first, and you're like, I want to exile that. So your opponent has to pick that or get something else exiled.
Right.
And its upside was it didn't target, so it could get around protection, like for Truna Nemesis. Right. But right, like if your opponent plays a vial on one, you have to wait till turn 3 before you can kill their thing, kill their vial, so they can get some value out of it. Right. Oh, you played your vial? Like, okay, I'll just pay 1 mana and get rid of it. We're tempo neutral, and we just move on. Right? I don't know. It might not. It's just.
I don't know. I have a hard time saying that. Like for one, like weight needs a little bit of bump in power, just kind of in general.
Yeah, I guess it's the fact that like there's a ton of decks that in Modern and Legacy that are Jeskai.
Yeah.
And they're Jeskai so they can play Prismatic Ending. You know what I mean? Like it's such a powerful card. People are taking their blue-red deck and putting white in it, so they can
but
play
like
ending.
That's not a huge ask in those formats, though.
It's not, but like
that could easily be like Grixis. You know what I mean?
Could.
Like if you really needed Thoughtseize or whatever, like you could play Grixis.
Yeah, I mean,
How much more like I realize it's less mana and slightly more, and I think it's only slightly more versatile, but like how different is it from Abrupt Decay? And I don't think anybody has ever like championed a banning of Abrupt Decay.
Well, I think that is the point, right? Is that these types of cards never get banned, right? Is PK's point, is they never get banned, right? But this card is like just it's everywhere to the point of like, right, you can't play Abrupt Decay in your because it's 2 colors, right? Like that's
you're not
going to
splash it,
right? Yeah. That's the drawback. Like it being a card that is 1 color that wants you to be 3 colors, right? And also, like, in a world of Loris, it just kills everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no, you can make the same argument for Abrupt Decay, but you can't put the best red cards, Monkey and Dragon Race Chandler, and the best blue cards. Oh, we forgot to mention Murktide Regent. Murktide Regent and all the cantrips with an Abrupt Decay. Right? And you can't, like, just play it a Braid because... God forbid, what if they play, an enchantment?
Right, but look, that's kind of the same problem that we were running into when we were talking about alchemy, though. Like, is that a problem with the format, or is it a problem with the economy? Whereas here, is that a problem with Prismatic Ending, or is that
all
a
the cards
problem
around
with
it?
The Monkey and Dragon, Dragon Race Channeler and Murktide Regent?
It very well could be not. It could be that we can't, like, you can't pull out. You can't disentangle.
Yeah.
The impact Prismatic Ending is having with the fact that you have all these other cards that are just horror shows.
Right. And I get the point that like PK was making also, where like these sorts of cards normally don't have things happen to them. But remember, I don't know, was it 4 years ago now when Aether Revolt came out?
Mm-hmm.
And Fatal Push was everywhere and a $10 uncommon while it was in print. and this is the best removal spell we've ever had and will ever have. Like, even at that point, I don't think people were championing a banning of Fatal Push.
I think the difference is, right, with a Fatal Push, right, you have, like, we talked about this with Ravenous Chupacabra years ago, right? Like, the sweat of, like, oh, hey, I'm going to play my Baneslayer Angel, and I really hope, like, I get to untap because then I'll, like, start to get value, right?
Yeah.
And cards like Ravenous Chupacabra make it so you can't play Baneslayer Angels, right? Yeah. Because you always have to play cards that immediately come in and get value. Right. And where if you are playing against Grixis, and they have, the blue-red, Ragavan Expressive Iteration shell, and they have Fatal Push, well, that if you play an artifact or an enchantment, they can't kill it. Right? Like, the fact that it's so versatile means that you, as the opponent, you have to hope they don't have it, because if they have it, they have all of your possible plays are covered, right? Unless it's prime time, right? Unless it's 5 mana or 4 or 6 mana, right? So, like, there's never, when cards get too flexible, I think that you run into, right? And on one hand, more flexible cards is better because you don't get run over, but as a person who's trying to run someone over, like, those decks get pushed out. Right? Because, you don't ever get to get an advantage. Right? Because you never have a spot where your card's just going to stay on the battlefield. So, like, I just think that
I mean, it's a sorcery too, though.
It is. No, I just feel like it's a card that, can be problematic because you have everything covered. Right, Swords to Plowshare is great, but if your opponent plays an Aether Vial, right, they're gonna play two creatures on their next turn, and you can only take care of one.
Yeah.
Right, and then on their next turn, they're gonna play 3 creatures. Whereas, like, this,
but then they're out of cards in their hand, and you wrath them, and like, you're back to square one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, there's play against Vial. Like, I mean, I agree, and I see, like, where it could, like, fall under the problematic category. I don't think a card like that can be broken, though.
Yeah, you're probably right. But again, this is all moot because we know that the most broken card of the year is Ragavan.
Right? Yeah, it's Ragavan.
All right,
moving on.
What is
next up? We have most broken product of the year. This also is a clear winner.
Yeah, so we have 2 options. Yep. And it's Jumpstart Modern Horizons, or Jumpstart, what was it called? Jumpstart
Historic Horizons.
Yeah, and then Modern Horizons 2. Yep. And it's Modern Horizons 2. We just spent like 20 minutes talking about, like, an uncommon removal spell from the set.
And also, like, a reasonable portion of Jumpstart Historic was Modern Horizons 2. So
yes. And this is one of my problems with Historic now is the number of decks that are just Modern Horizons 2, like, decks, right? So, like, I usually play best of 1. There's the red-green Shamans deck.
Yes.
Which is,
I forgot all about that deck. I forget about it until it absolutely crushes me, and then I'm like, oh, this deck is so gross, and then I forget about it again until it crushes me again.
Yeah, but they're like Llanowar Elf. Then they play, like, whatever the Anarchist or whatever, Goblin Anarchist.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I'll play what is it? The stupid Shaman Panharmonicon thing. And then, like, the next turn, they, like, dump their hand to have, like, 12 power and attack you and get, like, 6 triggers.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I guess I'm dead now. That was cool. And it's just like, oh, it was, like, a bunch of Modern Horizons cards and then, like, random card from Lorwyn block. that works well with this one Modern Horizons card. Like, this card is only on Arena because you put these 3 Modern Horizons 2 cards on Arena. Or, the blue-red deck in Historic is like, I'm going to play Dragon's Rage Chandler, and then I'm going to play Unholy Heat and kill your thing. It's just like,
no, that's another card we didn't talk about.
Yeah, Unholy Heat. Yeah. I think we're going to look back and be like, oh, wow, Modern Horizons 2 might be like one of the worst sets for the overall health of Magic of all time. Like,
I can get behind that.
Like, we might, just the way people think about like Combo Winner and like Memory Jar, Necropotence.
Yeah. Eldrazi Summer.
Tolarian Academy. Like, oh man. Like,
Hogak.
so many of these cards were just another Modern Horizons All-Star.
Yeah.
These cards are just so awful. Like, we're going to look back and be like, wow, there were like...
What were they thinking?
Yeah, like, what was going on? And we've not even mentioned, like, the Pitchcast Evoke Elementals.
Oh, they're coming up next.
Yes, but, like, in terms of, like, broken cards, like, Solitude is $60, and, like, any deck that has any white mana in it just plays Solitudes. And Fury, we were like, oh, it's not that good because it doesn't have Flash. Just, like, much like Renin 6, like, banned 1 toughness creatures from Legacy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have 2 1/1s and a 2/2? Oh, I'm sorry. You have nothing. Like, you just get your board wrathed, right? Yeah. Imagine, if you will, playing Elves in 2021, right? You, like, dump your hand and they just play a Fury, like, murk 4 of your things and then lightning bolt the other thing and then play a threat. And you're just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, okay, cool. I guess I'll keep this 1/1 and
hope you draw Lead the Stampede and hope that you have time to cast it and then resolve. Else.
Yeah, but it's just like But yeah, I think that we're gonna look back and go like, wow, this set broke.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Realistically, 3 formats. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to count Historic as like an actual ish format. Right, it broke Historic. Like, Historic is just Modern Horizons cards now.
Yep.
It broke Modern. Modern is only, like, fetch lands and shock lands. And then...
Modern Horizons cards.
Modern Horizons cards, and a few other cards to, like, hold it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then Legacy is, like, all Modern Horizons cards.
Well, I mean, Legacy is miserable to the point where people don't want to play the format at all.
Yeah, because it's like, it's the same handful of decks.
Yep.
And so, like just
so Legacy is standard.
Yeah, so just like when you, like, settle into, like, okay, I guess that we're, like, a Bant format. Okay, I guess we got to play against Uro all the time. This is the only place Uro is legal. I was like, nope, it's monkey time. Hope you like Uro was like, oh, I don't know if Uro is too good for Legacy for like a year. And I was like, nope, no, it's monkey. Like, don't worry about it. Like,
Carrie Zev's pet told Uro to hold its beer.
Yeah, just like everyone's like these cards from Modern Horizons, Ragavan, Dragon Rage Chandler, Murktide Regent, right? They are making people go like, okay, can we just maybe ban the old cards out of Delver?
Yeah.
So that, like, these cards are going to keep printing aren't as oppressive? Because clearly they're not going to stop printing, like, ridiculous cards.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to ban Daze and Brainstorm to make it so
wild, man. That's
Legacy
wild.
is functional. Because they're just going to keep printing Modern Horizons products.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Modern Horizons 2.
Clear winner.
Clear winner. We're going to look back and be like, wow. Who play tested this? And Patrick Sullivan's going to be like, you know what you're talking about. You're bad at this. And I'm like, sure I am. Remember when Sam Black told you guys that you can't do this with Loris being legal, and you were like, shh. Yeah. Oops, you couldn't do it without Loris either. All right.
So worst card of the year. This one is kind of poorly defined.
Yeah.
Much like the others, I didn't really give, set constraints for it. So whatever you thought was the worst card of the year, it could be just a bad card. It could be worst card for the health of the game, which I think is what a lot of people went with here. Could have been anything.
Yeah.
So we have 2 nominees from you guys. The first is Fury, as it invalidates small creature decks. And I'll just add that Solitude kind of does this also, although it's a little bit less punishing than Fury.
Yes.
And we have Elrond's Epiphany.
So this might be more mechanical, but just like moving all the cards that make treasures in red and black, in red and blue, like the Grixis treasure cards.
Yeah.
Just because you weren't supposed to be able to ramp in Grixis. Right?
Red has had temporary ramp before.
Rituals.
Well, it also had, was it Generator Servant from like N15? And that, there's some creatures in the past that have made mana, but it's always temporary mana.
It's always I think that the difference there is it was always a card, right? You had to give up a card for your mana.
Yes.
So Prismari command, right? Mm-hmm. I'll kill your 2/2 and make a treasure.
Right.
Okay, now you're on 5 mana.
Right.
Cool. I'm gonna play Nicol Bolas Dragon God, which happened to me on turn 4 out of a Grixis deck, and you're just like, yeah, this isn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like the fact that we've kind of broke the color pie with like Prismari command and stuff like that, where you're just like,
So is your worst card of the year a token?
My worst card of the year is the treasure token. No, I can get behind, maybe just as a group, the pitch elementals or the alternate cast elemental, evoke elementals. There we go. Yeah. Just because, maybe as a group, because other than the blue one, sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
The white one invalidates large creature decks. Mm-hmm. Right, or just sometimes creature decks in general, right?
Well, yeah, creature decks in general, because kind of like Fury, like we talked about, can just clean up a board of weenies. Solitude kind of does that as well, because, I guess it doesn't, because they gain the life.
Yeah, but I mean,
I was thinking the life gain offset it, but yeah.
But still, God help you get to 5 mana. Right,
you're trading tempo, yeah,
and you attack, and they're just like, I'm gonna flash this in. I will exile your creature, block your other one, and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
I guess I lose now.
Yeah.
And then endurance
nukes every graveyard deck.
Yeah, even dumb stuff oh, I want to play mill because I'm a monster.
Yeah.
Oh, my opponent played a forest. I guess there's a chance I can just never win this game. Right. I better have 3 Tasha's Hideous Laughters. But if I have an Archive Trap, we're done here.
Yeah.
And then, the black one, we all thought was going to be, the one that was the problem. But, there are still, ephemerate decks, and then the black, when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield, the black effects.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think we realized how powerful these effects were with Blink and then how hard people were going to go to make that happen.
Right.
Right. And I think that's something that like, you're like, oh, hey, I like put my Fury in and now I'll cast an Ephemerate.
Yeah.
And now you really have no creatures.
Right. And we'll never have creatures for the rest of the game.
Yes. Oh, you want to cast something on your turn? Well, you see, I'm just going to eat it with my Ephemerate that's going to rebound. So
that's going to be a no from me.
Yeah. You can't. Like, I'm going to time walk you because of this 1 mana spell that already like time walked you. Like it might just be the evoke elementals like as a team, because I was thinking we all started out when the black one got spoiled, like, oh god, this is a problem.
Well, so think of what happens to the format if it moves, though. Like, the black one is very powerful. It's just being outclassed by things that the rest of the format's doing right now.
Yeah, I mean,
so like, what happens if the format shifts and then all of a sudden grief is like the best thing you can do?
Like, so the reason that Solitude and Fury are good right now is what do you have to do in the format? Well, you have to hammer people.
Right.
Which Solitude just annihilates you.
Right.
Right? If you're trying to hammer, right, you oftentimes are playing cheap creatures, so if you don't have the hammer when you're getting your board set up, well, Fury comes down and kills, an Ornithopter, an Ornithopter, and a Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That buys you a ton of time. Endurance, again, just for like graveyard stuff. So you're right. Like, if we like go from like, hey, I have to be like Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Chandler to I'm gonna play a mid-range game like Tarmogoyf is good. Right? Then like Grief gets good.
Right.
Because like it plays that mid-range game really well. Though, I mean, I think the cap on Grief going forward is it's in the same colors as Loris.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how good is Grief compared to having Loris as your companion?
No, you were right when you said commander.
Yeah, as your commander. Right. Like how that is the trade-off that you're making. But no, you're right. Like if Modern slows down, then Grief gets better. And so like it's just like sitting there, just like lingering, and then the blue one just didn't get to play.
Yeah.
But
well, like, can you imagine, like, say the format gets to a place where like Titan's the best deck in the format, and you sit down across from your opponent, and your opponent goes like, Plains, evoke out a Grief, Ephemerate it, take your Amulet and your Titan, and you're left with like 2 bounce lands and an Explore.
Yeah, and then like the next turn they take your Explore.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, cool. Yeah, no, you're right. Like it's just backbreaking, and you basically can't recover. But yeah, like I think it's evoke elementals, but there's just been so many cards that have just like been blah that you just look back on and you're like, why are these here?
Yeah. But I would like to give Treasure Token an honorable mention here. Like maybe it gets second place.
Okay, like, but I don't know. Just think of all the things that have Make a Treasure Token tacked onto them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we talked about in the pre-show Deadly Dispute.
Yeah.
It's a $3 common.
Right.
Because it's Village Rites that ramps you later.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And, right, oh, hey, I have a Shambling Ghast. So now I get double ramp, and I'm going to play a 5-drop on turn 3 out of my black deck.
Yep.
So what's your curve? Shambling Ghast, then I'm going to draw 2 cards and make 2 treasures, and I'm going to play a Goldspan Dragon with 3 swamps. Yeah, that's not okay.
That's kind of another point that, I don't know. We had talked a bunch about alchemy being like Hearthstone now, right? Like Magic is Hearthstone now. Well, I mean, treasures kind of reinforce that too, right?
Yeah.
You're making the mana system more like Hearthstone, where you get mana.
Like every turn, you're gonna. Hey, it's like turn 5, and I'm gonna have 5 mana.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Worst product of the year.
Mm-hmm. I think we have a clear winner here, but
there is also circling back to Modern Horizons
2. Yeah.
Modern Horizons 2. We could put that one back on there.
Yeah, I think winning most broken precludes you from worst, though.
Probably. Again, if you look at worst as worst for
Yeah.
for the long-term health of Magic. All right, so we have the first one is the Commander decks.
Yeah, this was a listener submission, and the argument was that they took kind of the spirit out of Commander, where Commander used to be a format where you kind of played with the scraps. There might have been a cool legendary in a set, and you cobbled something together around it, and it was more about brewing and like flavor and stuff like that. Whereas now the Commander decks a lot of them are just like the best thing you can do. If you think about like Edgar Markov or like AC is just like another version of Tatiova, which is like one of the best things you can be doing. The cards are really pushed, and just like Modern Horizons is pushing things out of Modern, the Commander decks are pushing Commanders out of Commander.
Yeah, well, I saw a tweet today where it's someone who does a lot of Commander stuff, and they're just like, it's amazing to me how quickly Commanders legendaries age in Commander now. Yeah. She was like, I can't imagine brewing around a Commander from all the way back in 2019.
Yeah.
Right? Because those cards in the legends we get now are a million miles apart.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, again, it's like Chad's like, bro, get me Commander Nerd Beans. Mm-hmm. And so instead of what is fun, it's let's take a mana off of something. Right. Or let's add an extra line of text.
Yeah, add an ability.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if Tatiova drew you a card and let you play an extra land?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that. Right?
And we'll make it a relevant creature type, too.
Yeah. As opposed to, someone pointed out that, the new Kamigawa ninja that got spoiled that gives all your creatures ninjutsu.
Yeah.
They just printed some random blue-black legend in Val that, cares about serpents.
Yeah. Runo Stormkirk.
Yeah. They're to be the Sea Serpent Commander, they're like, oh no, the ninjutsu guy is now the best Sea Serpent Commander.
Right. That, doesn't have anything to do with sea serpents.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
The thing that you printed to be the Sea Serpent Commander is not the Sea Serpent Commander now because you printed something that's wildly better.
Well, I'll take that kind of a step further because one of the last Commander decks that I put together was Araumi of the Dreadtide from Commander Legends.
Yeah.
Which was a weird blue-black merfolk that lets you pull stuff out of the graveyard temporarily. And this new Commander ninjutsu thing, or this new ninjutsu guy is it's a better commander for that deck. Which is weird because that deck was built around that Encore mechanic, but it is just a better version of that card that had nothing to do with that deck. And I didn't brew that deck with ninjutsu in mind or whatever, but this commander just works better for that deck.
Yeah, and that just keeps happening, and they can't keep making new commander products without invalidating the old ones.
Yeah.
Right. And this has been going on for years. We've talked about commander players who are we were happier when they just left commander alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm sure that if you got people who started playing Modern in 2013, 2014, right when it started.
Yeah.
and you were like, okay, real talk, would you be happier if there wasn't Modern Horizons at all?
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, I'd be much happier if they like had to design their modern cards
through standard.
Yeah. So that there like was some like gloves or because like you could never put Ragavan through standard.
Absolutely not.
There's no way. Like
you'd have to neuter red so hard to make that card like okay.
You could maybe do Dragon's Rage Chandler if like it was in like a core set. So not that it's like a good core set card, but like that it was only going to spend like a year in standard.
Yeah.
So you could be like, all right, we can't let the spells get too wild. Mm-hmm. Right? Maybe it gets through, but maybe it only gets +1/+1 and has to attack every turn if it's in standard.
Yeah.
As opposed to +2/+2, or it gets +2/+1.
Yeah.
Right. There's some tweaking to it, but I'm sure that like people were like, can you just make cards for standard and try to make standard good, right. And then let us find the cards for our formats.
Right.
Right. The Pauper people, right? Like with Modern Horizons and the Commander products having to like jack up the power level. Right. Right. Now Pauper Brad was saying every set it's like, oh, I get like 6 cards a set that are now good in Pauper.
No, just wait till they get Pauper Horizons.
Oh my god.
Where it's just a set of all commons. There's no rares or mythics, and the packs are $6 a piece.
I was gonna say $7 a piece, but yeah.
Yeah, for all commons.
All right, the next worst product of the year, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Yes.
That
is hard my pick.
It is completely and totally like forgettable.
Yeah.
Like it had a not great draft environment.
Mm-hmm.
One entire draft archetype just impossible, could not work. Right? Just like the dungeons were bad.
Yeah, and also had one archetype that was like hands down the only thing to do, even if there was multiples at the table.
Yeah, it was like, I am red-black. Oh, you are also red-black? We will both have a good deck. Right. Seems decent.
I will see you in the finals.
And then we have Arena in general.
Yeah, I promise that's not me. I did not come up with that one.
Again, Arena has been the way we've been able to play Magic over the last year.
Yeah.
Or almost 2 years now.
2 years, yeah.
It is not perfect. I am more down on it than I was 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But
haven't uninstalled it yet, have you?
I haven't uninstalled. I play it every day.
Yeah.
Like even on Christmas Day, I got my workout in. I got 3 wins or 2 wins, and then like went and did Christmas, and then the next day I went like, oh, I guess I only got a couple wins. It's all right. But I still like play it every day.
Yep.
It is not without its flaws, but it is.
I don't think it's the worst product.
Yeah. And then we can argue about this. Like, there's an argument that like Secret Lair and like what it's doing, like to the Wizards business model / like the local game store. Right, like, because these could very easily just be like, from the vaults.
From the vaults, yeah.
Right, but instead of
they kind of are from the vaults. They're just through Wizards instead of through the game store.
Yeah, but instead of sending 10 from the vaults to every game score, they could send 40.
Yeah,
and just be like, hey, we're gonna charge you $20 a piece. Like for these, once it gets through your distributor and stuff, you're going to be able to sell these for 30 or 40, make a ton of money, keep your doors open.
Yeah.
But now Wizards is like, wait, I can just sell them for 40. And instead of making $15 a piece, I'm making $40 a piece. Bro, that's how you get the beans, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I understand where it could be better, and I think that's what you're saying is like the implementation could be much better on this. But I don't hate them either.
No, I don't hate them. I'm just saying that like more of this could be something that like much like From the Vault was kind of a like, hey, thank you for stocking our product every year.
Yeah.
Here's like a thing that you're gonna make a ton of money on to help keep your doors open. And you know, they probably couldn't do the volume of secret layers. You know, they couldn't do 43 that went to game stores.
So here's another problem with. I'm just trying to think through this in my head real quick. One of the reasons they may not be doing that is because they're trying to push premium stores.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy to get premium.
Yes, I know we've talked about it. It is very difficult.
This would totally be something that they would limit to premium stores.
Yeah. I'm just saying that like it'd be nice if they were trying to support people.
Yeah, like while that would help game stores, like premium stores, I don't think that would serve enough people.
Yeah, very true.
Like, would you drive to Cape
Wilmington
Fear
for a thing
to buy, I don't know, Mark Pool Secret Lair?
No.
On the day it came out, because they're probably going to sell out otherwise.
No, and you're right. Like it, on one hand, it increases the availability of the product to everyone, but on the other hand, like it just doesn't help out the local game stores. So
yeah, I mean, maybe at some point in the future they'll have like WP and exclusive secret lairs
because they did the
which
fetch
I'm sure.
layers.
Yeah, and I'm sure people would bitch about that too. So
yeah, we can never make anyone happy. But I think worst product of the year has to go to Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
I agree. Clear winner in my book.
I don't know anyone who liked that set for like any
best-selling set of all time.
Best-selling set of all time, exactly.
Has a $3 common.
Yes.
Best-selling set ever. Has a $3 common.
Still in print, $3 common.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not how best-selling sets of all time work.
No, definitely not.
I have cons commons right now that are not $3.
Right.
All right. Best mechanic.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them here. Some good ones too.
I did find funny that some of our best mechanics also show up on our worst mechanics list, but so it's kind of funny the polarization there. So we have Foretell, right? The cost reducing mechanic. So you pay, what is it, 2 to put the card in exile.
Yep.
And then you
normally it has like a discount on the back end, or it does something different when you cast it from Foretell. Then we have blood tokens from Vow. Artifact token, you pay 1, sack it, discard a card, draw a card.
Mm-hmm. It is a phenomenal limited mechanic because it basically gives all of your stuff cycling 1.
Which is awesome.
Yes, which like LSV has talked about on LR, like he would build his like blood decks to have a curve that stopped at 5.
Mm-hmm.
So he could just discard every single land he drew for the rest of the game to a blood token.
Yep.
And like it just makes limited better. It hasn't really broke into constructed really, but it's a
cool mechanic though.
It's a really solid limited mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Magecraft.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Yeah,
it kind of makes every color a spells matter color, which isn't really something we've had.
Yeah. Next is Ward, which is their third try third try at Shroud.
Yeah.
Right.
Shroud hexproof Ward.
Yeah, Shroud was too good / confusing because you wanted to put pants on your Shroud creature and couldn't.
Right.
So we made it hexproof. Then you put pants on them and your opponent couldn't kill it, so they were sad. Now we have Ward that you put pants on your Ward creature, but if your opponent gets enough mana or pays the cost, they can interact with it.
Yep.
So it's making the creature more fragile. which on one hand, like in limited, I think it's, a net positive, right? Because we, oh gosh, what was the blue black 3/3 flying hexproof?
Night Veil
Spectre, or no? Isn't Night Veil Spectre the one that like Thief?
Oh yeah, that was the hybrid one. Yeah,
but it's like Night Veil something or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. We all
Predator?
maybe
Prowler.
We all had like reasonable games of limited just end of that card.
Oh yeah,
and you're just like, oh, I can never win now. I don't have a flyer. So I can't ever interact with this, so I'm going to die. Or I have a flyer, but you're blue-black, so it's going to die, and then I'm going to die.
Right.
So, like, on one hand, I think it's better in limited, but, like, I don't know, like, you lose the ability to, like, as much as we've complained about, like, the Boggles decks.
Boggles, yeah.
Like,
I don't know, I think it adds, like, a cool new interaction point as well, because as we've seen, you can have some weird ward costs.
Yeah,
like pay life or discard cards or
and like, the Boggles decks now, a lot of them have like, what is it, Karamitra's Blessing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where like they're putting pants on a thing that doesn't have hexproof, and then they're just trying to protect it. So like ward just gives them longer to find the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you could still maybe interact with it. So it has some good points.
Yep.
We did not put the next one on the list.
Nope, was not us.
The new Evoke pitch cards. I think the person specifically said, if I remember, that like not specifically these cards, but like the concept.
Yeah, not the implementation, but the idea of.
Yeah. So, like, I guess I could see, like, if they had...
If Maul Drifter was a pitch card?
Yeah, like, if Maul Drifter had a pitch cost, or you gained life, or it wasn't, like... Apparently the blue one's fine, because no one plays it. Right, like, if Endurance gave a creature +3/+3, or, like, put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature... when it ETB'd, right? Like, that would be a good effect, but it wouldn't be, like, game-breaking.
Right.
Or, I don't know, if Fury if Fury just flamed Hunkavud.
Yeah.
Or was only 2 creatures. So you traded 2 cards, right? Your Fury and the card you pitched for 2 of your opponent's card, as opposed to, like, trading your 2 cards for 4 of your opponent's cards, or 3.
Yeah.
Right, so, yeah, like, turning the knobs a little bit, but, like, as an idea of, like, hey, let's have something that has a different, like, alternative cost.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about the ones from Modern Horizons 1. How many of those saw play?
Like, the green one, the blue one.
Yeah, green and blue, that's it.
Yeah.
Right, the white one's bad, the black one's bad, and the red one is laughably bad.
God awful, yeah.
Make 2/3 ones.
Wait, didn't Tom Ross say the white one was like
the best one?
The best card in the set?
He didn't know. No one has bothered to figure out how.
Yeah.
And then Disturb, which I guess like it's a really like in terms of like design, right? It's already demonstrated itself to be very flexible, like that kind of like weird
how they changed it
flashback
between the sets.
Yeah. Right, like I think it's a robust mechanic. You can do it a lot. It's kind of flashback in a way.
Yeah, I mean it basically is flashback for creatures.
Yeah. Which I mean, I guess if it's flashback for creatures,
it's also kind of like
Embalm.
Call it
in Eternalize.
Yeah, I was going to say Aftermath, but yeah.
Yeah, Embalm and Internalize flashback for creatures.
Yeah.
But like I think like in terms of like design, I think it's probably one of the better, like it's one that could come up other places. And like,
yeah, I mean except for
sense.
except that they called it Disturb, so it's got to be like ghosty, horror themed, whatever.
I guess.
Which makes it hard to come back.
Yeah. And then we have Learn.
Mm-hmm.
And Learn is weird.
It is
in
weird.
that Learn didn't do a whole lot until like Sultai Ultimatum went away. It wasn't like it was a mechanic that like was made and immediately had an impact in Constructed.
Yeah.
It showed up and you had to wait for the truly ridiculous stuff to go away. And like Learn has just proven that like all that matters is cardboard.
Yeah.
Right? Like the lesson cards are for the most part right? There's a couple that are good, but for the most part it's
Well, I think it's weird that like normally when you're building a Learn board, it's like 2 copies of Mascot Exhibition and like some random stuff that you never get.
Yeah, well,
like occasionally you'll get the one that like finds you a land or something.
It's like 2 of that and 2 of the one that finds you a land.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I guess I'm blue red, so I guess I'll have the one that makes a 4/4.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have the one that makes a 3/2.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll have the really bad removal spell, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Limited, the mechanic like kind of broke the format. Like 1, there was only like 3 playable colors in that format.
Right.
And 2, right, like you were taking Learn cards like Pack 1, Pick 1 or Lessons super early.
Yeah.
Because you just were like, oh, like I'll just take this bad Learn card later in the game and just get a card. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because I'll just be 1 up.
Yeah, I'll just be up a card. Right?
Yeah.
In Environmental Sciences was like something you take in the first 3 picks because you're like, oh, I need to make sure that I can hit my 3rd land drop so I can play
That's also colorless fixing.
Yeah, but I can play Hunt for Specimens.
Yeah.
And then get this card and make sure I hit my 3rd land drop.
Yeah.
Or Cram Session. Give myself a buffer against an aggressive deck and hit my 3rd land drop.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to make our decision. What is our
best new mechanic?
Best new mechanic.
I mean, there's a couple of them I think are pretty close. I dug Blood Tokens, I dug Magecraft, and I dug Ward.
Yeah, I think that like Blood Tokens are probably the best limited mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And Magecraft is probably the most interesting constructed and probably limited mechanic in terms of like just what it allows you to do in deck building.
Yeah.
And then like Ward is just it's the fixed.
It's not just fixed though, because it's additional design space.
Yeah,
it
is.
You know, if we're operating under the assumption that Wizards is running out of card designs, then more design space is always good.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm partial to Blood Tokens.
Okay. Sounds good to me. We will call that one the winner.
Again, going back to the cube, I put cards in the cube that made Blood Tokens.
Yeah.
Because I liked how Blood Tokens played.
I mean, it's also cool because they're cheap. Like the cost on the card isn't very high.
Yeah.
And they're just an artifact token.
Yeah, they're kind of like, decayed zombies, where they're not priced into every card that has them.
Right.
So they're almost free.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Time to talk about the worst mechanic.
Hey, we got a returning mechanic on here.
Yeah, so some people were like, Blood Tokens the best. And then some people were like, Blood Tokens are the worst.
Spoiler alert, we just named it the best, so I don't think
I
it's
think
going
we're
to
gonna
win the
agree.
worst.
I mean, I think I can see where like maybe it's kind of inelegant, and there is always the fear of this like free bits of cardboard
Yeah.
being a problem. But like overall, I think it's like innocuous enough and constructed and like helpful enough and limited that it can't be the worst mechanic.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the worst. The only knock I can give to blood tokens is that they're kind of priced into Innistrad.
Yeah, this was something they talked about on LR. Would be like, wouldn't it be like, could you try to sneak blood tokens into other sets,
Yeah.
or if they fit, or just like make another mechanic that is a blood token that you don't call
Yeah.
a blood token.
Well, I mean, they kind of did that with treasures. Like we had gold and Theros, and we had Ethereum cells and Kaladesh.
And then they're just like generically treasures. Yeah, you could easily like turn blood into something else.
Yeah.
All right. Another mechanic from Val that people, man, the Val mechanics kind of got dunked on here.
Sure did.
We have Coven, the green-white mechanic. And so Coven was, yeah, Coven
Cared
was,
about different powers.
yes. And Coven was the, no, Coven was in
Oh, it was
Midnight
Midnight
Hunt.
Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah. So that mechanic did almost absolutely nothing in Limited.
Yep. Hot garbage.
Hot Garbage didn't do a thing.
Yep.
And then did so nothing in Constructed. The mechanics that are like kind of like Party, which was last year, that are like you need 4 creatures on the battlefield.
Yeah.
It's like, one, how often do I get 3 creatures or 4 creatures on the battlefield? And
Right.
2, how often do they meet whatever stupid requirement you want for them? Right? Like, I should get like a parade for having 4 creatures with different names on the battlefield. Right? They shouldn't have to have different names and have different creature types for party. Or, oh, hey, I've got 3 creatures with different powers miraculously. And what do I get? Oh, this one creature gets vigilance and +1/+1. I don't care. It didn't help me that much.
Yeah.
So
Not enough of an upside.
Yeah. So like you do all this work and like sometimes it's just like, oh hey, I drew 4 creatures. I have 2 2/2s and 2 3/2s. Crap. None of them have text now
Right.
because I didn't meet the weirdo requirement.
Yep. I couldn't find me a 1/1.
Yeah. Day and night.
Yeah, we had 2 votes for this one.
Why would someone say this is the worst mechanic?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. I don't think they said.
Well,
You're asking my opinion.
Yeah, like why do you think someone would say this is the worst?
Because it doesn't work the same as all of the other werewolves that have ever been printed.
I think there's that. And the thing that gets me is like on turn 2. Yeah, on turn 2 you play a card that starts day and night. Now you have to pay attention to every turn how many spells are cast, and you have to flip the little thing. And I think we brought up in our show when we talked about this, this is like 100% something that cannot be fixed in like a comp REL game.
Right.
Right? Like, hey, I think it's day. Well, I think it's night. Judge can't fix that.
Yeah.
Right? Because when are they going to know when the spells were cast?
Right. Nobody's going to know.
Yeah. So, like...
We're back to videotape.
Yeah. Oh, wait. There's not streamed coverage anymore. There is no videotape.
I mean, there's also no events, so...
Yeah. But, like, it's just this weird...
Like, it was something that we also talked about when we reviewed Day-Night, is that this is, like, an arena mechanic. Because arena just tracks it. And you don't have to, so you don't think about it.
Yeah, but in paper, it's something you have to track.
Right.
And it's just, like, burdensome.
Yep. I agree. It's not great.
Not great.
Yep.
So fractals, I guess, like, there was only like a couple cards that made fractals. They were like the blue-green token.
Yeah, like
From
the fractals weren't really. I mean, I guess they kind of were the mechanic, but like math was more the mechanic.
well, I think that like the mechanic, like the overall mechanic for Strixhaven was spells because of Magecraft. So right, blue-green just had a bunch of spells that made fractals.
Yeah, but it also had stuff that like grew your fractals or like made more fractals or
yeah. So I don't know. I don't hate on like the blue-green like fractally stuff from Strixhaven too much.
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's even in the same conversation as like Coven.
Yeah, in terms of like Coven just didn't do anything.
Right, fractals like did the thing that they were supposed to do.
Yes, Coven sometimes just didn't do the thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of not doing the thing,
Yeah.
let's venture into a dungeon.
Or not.
Or not. So dungeons had a few problems. One, the payoffs weren't big enough.
Yeah, not even close.
Which, like, they've talked about this, like, Marshall brings this up on LR. He thinks it was a mechanic they were afraid of. Right? And it sounds like AFR was a set that didn't exist, and then it was going to be, I don't know, whatever normal Magic set, Core 2022.
Yeah, right? Whatever.
And then, bro, want to get those Dungeons and Dragons nerds beans, bro.
That's right,
little bro, make Dungeons and Dragons set, bro.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'm going to sick Brock on you. Wow. And so then they like tried to come up with like a mechanic, and they were like, they didn't want to go too hard because like if you miss, right, much
you
like
end up with companions.
Yeah, you're just like everyone's carrying around 3 dungeons with them for the rest of Magic's history.
Right.
So the payoffs weren't good enough for like limited, and they were like, here are 3 dungeons. And everyone very quickly went, I will only use one of these, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, wait. I take it back. My opponent is at 2. I will use this other dungeon.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to use the dungeon of the Mad Mage? I will not. I will use Fandelver and the Tomb of Annihilation. This is all you get. Right, so basically, like, one of the dungeons just didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one mattered 5% of the time or whatever.
Yeah. When you were at 2, it mattered.
Yeah, and then the rest, and then the cards just, like, weren't super interesting.
Yeah, and, like, they weren't good. Like, outside of them being dungeon enablers, like, you wouldn't put them in a deck.
Yeah, I mean, the only card that has like really seen play is a Serac, and that is in like one very specific deck because Serac does one very dumb thing.
Yep, it goes back to your hand.
It goes back to your hand. That's all that matters. It goes back to your hand and does the thing. So, like that just missed entirely.
Yep, not a fan.
Again, going to the best-selling set of all time. I give you roll a d20.
Yeah. Oh, there's one more that's supposed to be on here, too, that I did not add that we actually did have somebody comment on.
Okay. I'll let you get that in there. So, remember, like, Magic is a game of, what's it called? Oh yeah, those is a game of variants, and like what separates Magic from Hearthstone and a lot of other games is that like on some level like the variance is limited in that you know what your card is going to do, and typically when Wizards has made cards that have a chance to not do what is printed on the card, they don't get played.
Right.
See Browbeat. I'm going to draw 3 cards for 3 mana? No, I'm just going to take 5.
Yep.
I'll be fine. I can't beat 3 cards. I can beat taking 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean, that's the same thing with, was it Risk Factor?
Yeah. Like, you always took the damage the first time.
Right. There is no circumstances where you let them draw cards first go around.
Right. And, like, so roll a d20. They tried to limit it where they were like, here are 2 or 3 options, and we're splitting it. There's basically like a coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, oh, 11 to 20, you get this. 1 to 10, you get this. It's like, okay, like, we're just flipping coins.
Yeah.
And then on a few cards, they were like, what was it? 15 to 20, you get big effect.
Right.
10 to 14, you get medium effect, and then you get like a small effect that, is for
not worth playing.
Yeah. Like, it just like leaned super hit hard in on variance, and it didn't really do it in an interesting way.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of it was like just flipping coins.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
Flipping coins with extra steps. And then they were like...
and extra mechanical pieces.
Yes, and then they were like, alchemy. Let's really flip some coins, dog.
Yeah.
And then, again...
Also from AFR.
The best-selling set of all time.
Now, this one really isn't a mechanic, which I think is why I skipped over it when I was putting the episode together. But since we were ragging on AFR, I figured we'd talk about it. And that's the random like spell names that they gave to abilities.
Yeah, so they were like, I think they were actually D&D abilities.
Yeah, they were like D&D spells, I think.
Yeah. It would be like parry. And be like,
Pack tactics.
Pack tactics. What was the counter spell? It was like, thwart him or join him.
Yeah.
Right. Come to an evil lair or some crap.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like they were trying too hard.
Way too hard.
Like, it was like, we've not done a great job of evoking D&D with just the cards.
Yeah, dungeons aren't enough. Dungeons and D20s aren't enough to really get the point across here, so.
Yeah, we don't feel like we leaned into this hard enough, so let's throw these
extra
like
text to
keywords.
Cards for no reason.
Yeah. And no one picked up like, no one has said like, so I have pack tactics, so I will draw a card. No, just like attack, I'll draw a card.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you drawing a card? Because after these words I won't say, it says I draw a card.
Because I attacked with creatures that had 6 or more power.
Yes. Yes. This next mechanic, I hate it, but I don't know if I hate it as much as some of this other stuff. And that's cleave.
And that's saying something, because you really didn't like this mechanic in our set review episode.
I really hate it. It is so bad.
Yeah, it's not a good keyword.
Cleave, if you guys remember, is they put brackets in the middle of the rules text of cards.
Uh-huh.
And if you pay the cleave cost, you cleave away the words in brackets and make the spell better.
Got to pretend they weren't there.
This is kicker.
It is.
But
it's kicker with extra brackets.
Kicker with extra... I just think of the Rick and Morty episode. So this is just slavery with extra steps? No. They get to crank the flugel box. No, this is just kicker with extra steps. They just couldn't bring themselves to say kicker. So we got cleave. Because it was supposed to be evocative of the world or something. And no. Yeah, it's just inelegant and ugly. Or I've seen them described as split cards.
Yeah, kind of.
Where it's like
odd split cards though, because they're always similar things.
Yeah, but it's...
I guess you're casting one or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's like you either have like, was it dig up? You either have like lay of the land to go get a basic for a green, or one black green go diabolic tutor.
Yeah.
Right, that was your split card. Yeah, it just so bad.
So
like
bad.
this one feels like they phoned it in as well.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, just,
nobody could have thought long about this.
No.
They're like,
No.
oh yeah, we need something to fill out the file with. Cleave.
Done. What colors will it be in?
Who cares?
All of them. Doesn't matter. Chad made us add 5 extra mythics to this file. So we moved 5 rares up. Now we need to find 5 more rares.
Yep.
Go.
Cleave.
Done.
Kicker with extra brackets.
And then I'm assuming this is the same person who was traumatized by Omnath.
Could be.
Was like party. That again was from
last year.
Last year from Zendikar.
Yep.
Again, still disappointed they've only been able to get 3 creatures on the battlefield with different creature types. So all of their party cards do nothing.
Yeah.
Again, you could say that mechanic should be in AFR.
I mean, it should have been. It would have made more sense than random like flavor text in the rules text.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Mario even said like, they wanted to do it, but they just had such a short amount of time to like Zendikar was done. It was like Zendikar's done at the printers, and then D&D beans, and then they were just like, crap. The mechanic that would go in this set you're making me make, Chad, we already used it.
Right.
And Chad's like, what's the mechanic? Bro, my car runs great. Have you seen it? I don't need a mechanic.
Much pre-workout.
I don't need a mechanic. So, yeah. I don't know. Like, I can let Coven slide because there are a lot of limited mechanics that just don't work.
Yeah, they're just bad.
That are just
only exist for limited.
And then barely function there. So, like, I can let that slide. Day
Knight's not great. It has some issues.
Not great. Blood Token, hard disagree. Sorry, listener.
Yeah, I don't think we can call it the best and worst mechanic, so.
I don't know, like...
I don't think there's anything wrong with fractals.
No, yeah, dungeons and roll a d20 is kind of just, like, egregious.
Yeah.
But, like, is it cleave bad? Like, I just come back to, like, talking about cleave, I'm like...
Well, there's a hard floor on cleave, and, like, I think the most unforgivable part about cleave is that it's so clunky and inelegant.
Yes.
Like, if it was just kicker, or if it was a split card, like, nobody would care. They could have called it cleave, and it looked like a split card, but they called it cleave. They had some weird like artwork slash and called it like a showcased frame or whatever, and like people would have been okay with that. It's the implementation that's not great, and it's not even like mechanical implementation. It's like, I don't know.
It's not mechanical in the game. It's like mechanical like on the card. Like just aesthetically, it's awful. And like listening to like other podcasts, and I'm sure if we go back and listen to us, try to talk about a cleave card. Right. It's just a nightmare. It's like, how do I even read this? Like, it's like, blah, 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 bracket, blah, 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 close bracket. It's like, no, stop. But
you describe it as a split card is what you do. Like, you read it one way and the other way.
And you're done.
But, like, I think my point here, though, is that, like, as a mechanic, it's not the worst.
No.
It's just the way it's done is ugly. And I think the same can be said about roll a d20, except that the mechanic there is bad as well.
Well, I mean, and it's like open the door to bring unset cards into black border.
100%, yes.
Right? Like, well,
Which
why
they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, why haven't we put these cards in black border? Because like we don't roll dice in Magic. Now we do, fool.
Yeah.
It's like so I mean, and there's also just dungeons being like underpowered and like again just trying too hard and not getting there. But I think roll a d20 might be the worst.
I think so as well. I think it's either roll a d20 or dungeons, and I think roll a d20 ekes it out for me.
All right. Again, I'd like to point out we have 3 things they did in the best-selling set of all time that were just awful. This should go to show you that if your name is not Chad, that sales do not equal good. Because I'm pretty sure, like, cocaine is one of the highest-selling drugs of all time, but we're not like, yo, cocaine is the best. Do it.
Unless you're Brock and you need his pre-workout, which is, basically.
See, like, I was thinking he just went to GNC and bought pre-workout. You're saying his pre-workout is cocaine. Either one is probably accurate.
Well, I mean, they both have a pretty similar effect.
Very true. I don't know.
One's legal and one's not, so.
Bro!
Do with that as you will.
Bro! Do a pre-workout! There's Brock. I hold my nose and I get
a hole in his septum.
Yeah. Little bro, if you don't do what Chad says I get on the beats, I'm gonna break you.
Oh, Brock.
Brock's the muscle. Chad's an idea man, but Brock's his muscle. All right, so
I think from here on out we only have like 1 or 2 like nominees. So these ones should go pretty quick. Next up is the most confusing card. And like when I came up with this category, I had this like vision in my head about like us going through spoiler season and talking about like our set review episodes. And there's always like a card or two where I think to myself, I don't really want to put the brain power into figuring out how this card works. I'll just wait for it to get on Arena and then see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, when I went to think of nominees, I couldn't really think of any.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of cards, by the time you've played them a few times, like, you understand what they do. And I think the cards that, at the end of the year, like, the cards that you didn't understand, you've just blocked out. You're just like, no.
It probably.
No. I do like Grizzled Huntmaster.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like half the alchemy cards are just nonsense.
Oh, I didn't even think about the alchemy cards, yeah.
But isn't Grizzled Huntmaster an alchemy card?
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the, like, exile a creature card from your hand and any number of creature cards from your library, or any number of the same card from your library, and then put a card from your sideboard into your hand equal to the number of cards exiled from by your hand this way.
Yeah. Yep. That's the winner. You just explained it. I have no idea what it does.
I mean, or even like we have him for Wordiest card next, but like Davriel.
Yes.
Like, it is impossible to know what that card is going to do until you hit +1 and then go down a flowchart.
Yep. So
it's like
we're in Wordiest card. That wins Wordiest cards hands down.
Yes, but no, like they've definitely like leaned into like, was it Theros Beyond Death had the most words on per card of any set in Magic's history.
Oh yeah, like on average, yeah.
On average, and they tried to clean it up, but didn't quite get there. Sorry, best limited formats. So I mean, we have there's one choice nominee, but there are 5 nominees, right? There's Kaldheim,
Zendikar, Kaldheim, Strix, AFR, Midnight Hunt, Crimson Vow.
Not Zendikar, right? Zendikar was last year.
Oh, that's right. Zendikar was last year.
So it's Kaldheim.
Yeah. Strixhaven, AFR.
Are you the one that put on Omnath and Party?
No, that was not me. I was looking at my shelf up here because I have like
all the sets.
So, well, the way I have it organized is like what's currently in standard is separate from the rest of my collection. So.
Gotcha. So you've got Kaldheim,
Strixhaven, AFR,
no, Midnight Hunt, and Vow.
Crimson Vow.
So, I think it I don't think it is. I don't think it's Strixhaven, and I don't
think so either.
And I know it's not AFR.
It's definitely not AFR.
Strixhaven really only had 3 colors you could play, and all the games kind of turned out the same.
Yeah,
Midnight Hunt. Okay.
The cool thing about Strixhaven was the Mystical Archives, though.
Yeah, and how it would wildly change a game, which was sometimes good, and then interesting, and other times it was just oh cool, you got
I just
a
lost
Wrath
to a
of
natural
God.
order.
Yeah, I got natural ordered. Yay.
Yeah.
But so, and it really I played so many blue green X or blue red X decks.
Yeah.
Right. It was a super go big over the top format.
Yeah.
So it's just it was a little one note.
Mm-hmm.
There were 5 color pairs, and one of them was horrific.
Yeah.
Right. You were either go big or silver quill.
Right.
Right. You couldn't play green black wasn't great, and neither was red white.
Right.
Midnight Hunt. You had to play the Esper colors, but the games were always interesting.
They were interesting,
right? I really like Vow, really because of the blood tokens, right? Having that extra wrinkle.
Well, I like that you can be aggressive too.
Yeah,
not every limited format you can be aggressive in. But still not be hands down the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Normally those things are exclusive.
Yeah, in AFR it was you were aggressive.
Yeah.
And it was the only thing you could do.
Yeah.
So Kaldheim's interesting because on one hand, Kaldheim was only a 2-deck format.
Mm-hmm.
It was red white, whatever the 1/2 first strike flyer was, put an equipment or 2 on it and hope.
Yep.
Versus snow. So on one hand, that wasn't great, but the snow decks were fun.
They were.
And I played a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Though I always ended up when I would play the snow mirror, whoever the person I was playing against drafted against, none of those people knew that the snow cards were good. And their snow decks were always 1,000 times better than mine. It's oh, you've cast your 3rd bear that goes and gets you a land.
Yeah.
And it's a 5/4. Great.
Yeah.
And you had the extra wrinkle of you had to draft the lands.
Right.
Which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of Midnight Hunt or Kaldheim.
Vow, you mean?
Or I don't know. Maybe Vow. Maybe Vow over Midnight Hunt. I really like drafting the Esper decks. Even though they I like that, and I haven't drafted Vow in a while. I could look and see what sets I drafted the most.
Yeah,
that might be an indication of which sets I like the most.
Yeah, I haven't drafted Vow in a while either, but I think that's because I ran out of gems and I didn't feel like putting any more gems in. But I remember liking Vow a lot.
So I have
drafted Midnight Hunt a bunch also.
So there we go.
I'm not sure why I stopped drafting Midnight Hunt.
I have 30 Vow drafts.
Okay.
With a
that's not very many for you.
With a sweet 53% win rate.
Yeah.
Boo. Midnight Hunt. We had scrolling. Oh, this is one where I had to add 56 drafts of Midnight Hunt.
Holy moly.
With a 55% win rate.
Yeah.
Part of it, like for a vow, was I kind of got sick of it, and I also was like, I don't want to put any money in.
Yeah.
D&D Draft Tracker, 35,
Well, some more than vow.
53% win rate. I think it was one like I just went on like a bad losing streak at the end and got sick of it.
Yeah.
And then Kaldheim, Strixhaven. Strixhaven was a lot.
Yeah.
We hit not as many as Midnight Hunt, but we hit 42. 55% win rate. So the one you've noticed, the ones I've done a bunch of, the win rate's slightly higher.
Slightly,
which like matters in terms of how much money you put in.
It does, yeah.
And then at 55% win rate, Kaldheim, we got to 33 drafts.
Oh, not that many.
Not that many. The thing with Kaldheim was I felt like I always played against the same deck. Like I just felt like it was the Snow Mirror or like the aggro deck.
Mm-hmm.
So based on number of drafts played,
it's Midnight Hunt.
It's Midnight Hunt.
By a landslide.
By 13 drafts or 10 drafts over the next highest format.
Yeah.
Like, I drafted Esper all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, enjoyed it a lot. Well,
you can call it Midnight Hunt. I enjoyed that format, too.
I think I know why I quit. My last 4 drafts, 0 wins, 0 wins, 1 win, 2 win. Done. Hang it up. There's always a point in every format where I where I go through a streak where I do really well, and then like the tables catch up to me.
Yeah.
And then like I'm not drafting enough to like figure out what the next thing is.
Yeah.
And then like I go through a bad patch and I'm like, yep, I've burned all my gems now, I'm out. So yeah, Midnight Hunt was the one I did the most, and I remembered enjoying the most.
Sounds good. I enjoyed Midnight Hunt also. We'll call that one the winner. So this was your category
that I was supposed to come up with, and I dropped the ball.
That's all right. As we were just talking about draft, I thought of one. I don't know if you're going to agree or not, but every time I saw a Narfi in Kaldheim draft, I snagged it.
Narfi, there's the blue-white disturbed uncommon from Midnight Hunt.
Yeah.
That like comes in and mills you for 2.
Yeah.
And then like makes it cheaper for you to disturb stuff or something, and then like when you disturb things you tap. Like that card
I don't think I ever drafted the disturb deck.
That card was so good.
Yeah.
Right, like it just wanted you to like have as many things you could cast from your graveyard as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, gosh, what was that called? Goodness, I think that might have been my favorite. Like that was the card like I wanted to get the most.
Yeah,
was that, but I do not remember what it was called. Also, we have like too many sets because like Midnight Hunt was the last standard set. I brought up a TCG player to look at, to just quickly look up a card.
Yeah.
Midnight Hunt isn't even in one of the latest, isn't on the list of latest sets. It's just not there. We have too many products. There we go. Here we go. We should be able to find it pretty quick now.
Devoted Graph Keeper?
Yes!
Yep.
This guy. So, enters the battlefield, mills 2. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, tap a creature, right? And then it had disturbed into being a 3/1 flyer. But like the front side just let you win games. So that card, I think that card might have been like the best build around.
All right.
It's at least the one I remember the most.
I just remember drafting a bunch of Narfies. I thought that card was awesome.
That card was really good.
Oh, what happened here?
I don't know.
I messed up the show notes.
Oh no, he broke it.
That's all right. I fixed it.
All right.
It's all better.
Artwork of the year.
Yeah, this was one of our listeners had this category and nominee, and they nominated Faithless Looting.
And you said lol, WTF, no.
Absolutely not.
Hey, if
that
the
might
art,
be
if the artwork is what generated the most talk about Magic artwork,
sure.
I think that is a clear winner.
Yeah.
I think there's any number of mystical archives I would take over that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like the duress is neat.
The duress is cool.
The brainstorm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the brainstorm's cool. The memory lapse I think is really cool.
Yeah. So I think any of those. I don't know. I think brainstorm, like that is one that I like put in the cube. I was like, I want this brainstorm art. Like I think it's neat.
I really liked the showcase frame Coma.
I don't remember that one.
I thought that one was really cool. I'm trying to think what else was cool. I mean, any of the Secret Layers. Like, there was some killer artwork in Secret Layers.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at the Coma now. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that one was really good.
But it's so hard with the Secret Layers, though. There are so many of them.
Yeah.
Like, how do I keep track of, like, I don't know, the Wasteland?
Yeah, that Wasteland is sick.
With the City of Brass.
Yeah. Oh, I really liked the Grave Crawler from the Secret Lair.
Was that this year?
That was this year, yeah.
Dear God. So many cards.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember that one. Like, I was thinking Gravecrawler is like the like the movie poster one.
Yeah.
What about the Mischief Blood Moon?
Oh, well, see, that's tough because that card is gorgeous, but I don't know, like, it doesn't really have artwork. It's kind of all graphic design layout.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you can classify that as artwork.
I don't know. I'm sure. So
I guess technically it is artwork, but like I was thinking, like the art of a card, not the card
whole
being
card,
the art.
The whole card being art.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could get behind the Gravecrawler. That was pretty striking.
Yeah.
When I saw it, like, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So sure, Gravecrawler from the Secret Lair drop.
Sure.
If you want to do like which piece of art caused the most conversation, it's Faithless Looting.
Sure. And also, to be fair, like, the card didn't do that art justice. Not that it's my favorite piece of art anyway, but the artwork does look much better not on a card. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, not on a card, and I think in person it looks better.
Yeah.
Because, like, that piece was, like, 4 feet tall or something.
Yeah.
And, like, got
that's like a whole nother thing. I didn't even think of that.
What?
The, that one saga that's like a relief carved out of wood.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Was really cool, too.
That was the, it was the red-black one?
No, was it Binding?
Was it Binding? I thought it was the red-black saga. That looked like an arm?
No. It was Yeah, it was binding the old gods.
Is a wood relief?
Yeah. Yeah, it was carved out of wood.
Okay, I thought um the one that looked like a tattoo.
Oh, no, I posted it in Discord for you.
Oh, the original.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool too.
Yes. We are sophisticated men of art.
Yep. All right. So next up we have the worst limited format.
And it's AFR.
Hands
Like we
down.
have it here. We've
There
already
were
gone
no
over the other
redeeming qualities
formats.
about that set.
Yeah, none.
Yep.
Greatest selling set of all time.
Sure. Has won most of the awards. The most awards. I guess short of Modern Horizons 2.
Yeah. What are
Yeah.
what is the worst WotC decision?
This was also a listener category.
Okay, the destruction of competitive play.
Yep.
Pretty bad.
And Alchemy.
Alchemy. Not great. Modern Horizons 2, just as a product. just going for the kill on Modern Horizons. You should not even have existed. I mean, and I don't know, the interaction with like making cards for Commander, like kind of killing the purity of that format. But I don't know. I think the biggest thing is competitive play.
I would 100% agree with you.
Right?
I could see merit to Alchemy. Like I tried to keep an open mind when we did our Alchemy episode and talked about how it might, open up room for other things to exist on Arena or help differentiate Arena from Paper Magic to maybe give room for Paper Magic to live again. So, and that's not even talking about the ways that, we're trying to fix what's happening on Arena itself. Not that I think it's a good thing, and it's definitely compounded by the economy, but I can at least see a positive outcome with Alchemy.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing with Modern Horizons 2. Like, there's some sweet cards in Modern Horizons 2 that are obviously being overshadowed by the problems with Modern Horizons 2, but there's some cool stuff in there.
I think the thing is like, with Modern Horizons 1, it was Hogak that overshadowed everything, and then when you got rid of Hogak, the other stuff happened.
Right.
I don't know if... there's just not one Hogak.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
There's like 3 of them, or 5 of them, or something. But, I think that, like, even if you weren't invested in competitive play, there were people that came to your FNMs or the events at your shop that like were there because they were invested in competitive play.
Yeah.
Right? And if they were the 8th person for the standard event every single week, and then they don't feel like Magic's for them anymore, right? You lose your 8th. So even if you're not like, you weren't like, I would like to win a PTQ, right? There was someone you played with that did, like that was what their drive was, and they have backed away because that has gone away.
Yeah, kind of like where I was going was I could see, good things in Alchemy, and I can see good things in Modern Horizons 2. There's bad things in both as well, but I can see some good things in there. I don't see any positive out of removing competitive play.
Agreed. There's nothing other than we've cut the advertising budget.
Yeah. Chad needed those beans for some... He had to buy more pre-workout for Brock.
Exactly. Bro, I gotta keep Brock energized.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you removed my desire to play the game, so...
Yes. And then I think that is the award show. That is kind of our year in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Everything
definitely.
that happened. Now we have to make a big executive decision. We are at 2 hours and 34 minutes. Are we talking about the Moto changeover, or are we saving that?
We'll cover that next week.
Okay, we teased it at the beginning, but we went super long. It's almost 11.
Yep.
So
Bedtime.
it's bedtime. Exactly.
We're old. Sorry.
Very, very old. So with all of this, we hope you had a fun year of Magic in listening to us.
Yeah,
And
we really enjoy making the show, and we're glad that you guys came along for the ride.
yeah.
And that everybody participated. I was really happy that we had
We got people
participating.
tweeting at us and stuff, so that was good.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep interacting and you have show ideas or things you want to hear about going into the new year, you can get at us at Casual Tripod on Twitter.
Absolutely. You can also find us on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG, or you can email us, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. Like I said at the top of the show, we know you got all that Christmas money burning a hole in your pocket. If you're looking to pick up any singles, Grist, head over to TCG Player or our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Follow that link. Anything you purchase after using that link to get to TCG Player, we'll get a small percentage of it to help keep the show going. And if you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg, where patrons will get access to our pre-show, which is a big hit. Like I said, the whole Brian Window thing, a lot more of that was fleshed out in the pre-show than the actual show, and that was nominated for an award tonight. So you're missing out if you're not a patron. You also get access to our show notes, and you'll get put on my mailing list for when I do my thank yous. We really appreciate all of our patrons, so hop on over there, chip in a couple bucks, and reap the rewards. We also have a Discord. There's a link in the description. There's a link on all our social media. Come join the conversation, ask questions. Let us know what you want to hear about. You can also post up decks if you want help with a deck list. And we've had a bunch of cubes posted up there recently in response to the cube episode we did. So if you want us to look at your cube, or if you wanted some help putting one together, hop in over there and ask away.
Yep. So with that, I think we've got a show.
We have a show.
So we will catch you on the internet.
Yep, we'll catch you on the internet.